So we worked with vertical menus, and now we are going to work with a horizontal menu. So we're going to download a zipped folder, very similar to the vertical one. And we're going to open this, and we are going to extract this into our lesson 10 folder. So it's very similar to what we did for the vertical. We need to navigate to our lesson 10 folder. And once you're at your lesson 10 folder, you're going to select it and choose extract. Okay, and once you're done, you should see the Acme horizontal folder displayed. And you're going to open it, and you're going to see files that are very similar to the ones we just looked at. And if you want to open up Home and look at it in the browser, you can kind of see what it looks like. And this menu that we see up top is going to be horizontal. And these submenu items will be hidden until we point at executive teams. So that's kind of our goal with this. So we are going to do a little editing here. We are going to be opening up our CSS folder and editing Acme horizontal CSS. So this is going to look similar to what we were just looking at. And what we are going to be adding to this is the nav section. And we want this a little in from the left. So we're going to set margin left to 40 and margin top to 0. And now we're going to tell it what we want done with the unordered list. Okay, because this particular series of files, they all contain the main menu, which is the unordered list, and they all contain the submenu, which is the second unordered list. So for the first unordered list, which is our main menu, we are setting a background gradient, a box shadow, padding, a border radius. We are removing bullets. Okay, we're setting a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm going to pause this, key it all in, and then I'll explain what it does. So we have a background set to linear gradient. So it's going to be white at the top, white at the very bottom, green in the middle. We have a box shadow, and the box shadow, the color is black, but you can see we have transparency on it. So it's going to be like a very light gray. Then we have padding, top and bottom is 0, left and right is 20. We have border radius turned on, 10 pixels, so the borders are going to be slightly rounded. List style is none. That's going to remove the bullets. You can either use list style type or just list style. Position is relative, so that's kind of relative to the location on the page or the location in the window. The display is inline table. This gives you a very nice horizontal display, much nicer than trying to use float left. The text color is white and it is bold-faced. So let's save. Now for the actual links that are going to display in the menu bar, those are defined inside our LI or line tags. And we are also going to add some styling for the lines. And we're just going to do the inline table here. If we omit the inline table for the lines, it just doesn't center or look as nice. And once we get all the code in, I'll show you with that there, and then we'll take it out so you can see. There's a difference in how it looks. We're going to also add a little styling for the hover state. And so when we're pointing at these different commands, we want the background to change from a linear gradient to a radial gradient. And a radial gradient basically transitions colors, but it's a circle of color transitioning into another circle. It's kind of how it works. And let us save. And we can go take a look. It's not where it needs to be, so it's not going to look perfect here. Okay, but it is starting to look a little bit more like a menu. Okay, you can see that our links need to be styled. We have the menu itself is way too skinny, and the submenu is displaying on top of the menu. So lots of issues still. We're going to come back over here. And we are going to add some more CSS. So we're going to add some for the link state. So we've got nav, UL, LIA. Now for the links, we want display block, padding, and this is going to make them kind of taller and wider. So the 25 is for the top and bottom, 40 is for the left and right. So they'll actually look like buttons, and they'll be much bigger than they are right now. Font color is white. And we're getting rid of the underlining. So let's save. And we're going to come out here and reload. Okay, so now you can distinctly see the gradient. And you can see the hover state. We do have a little issue with their submenu that we will be fixing, but it is starting to look more like a horizontal menu. So moving on, onwards and upwards here, more CSS. We want a hover state for the anchor. Whoop. And when we point, we want the color of the text to be black and the underlining to be gone. Now you'll notice that we did not change the background color, so that will remain the same. Okay, there's a lot of inheriting that goes on with these nested selectors. So if you don't specifically change something, it's just going to keep whatever it inherited from the parent. So this next little chunk of code here. Basically says that if I am pointing at a line that is inside an unordered list that is inside a navigation section, I'm pointing at a line that contains an unordered list. Okay, if that is what happens, then the display should be flex, and the flex direction should be column, which gives me that nice vertical display. Because right now, if you remember, our submenu is horizontal, and this will make it vertical. So let's save here. Nope, and I misspelled direction. I was trying to figure out what the heck I did. Okay, now it looks much better. Let's save. And let's reload. And then you might be thinking, well, why is it still showing? Well, you can see if we hover, it's gone to vertical. But it's still showing because we need to set an initial state for this second unordered list. We've said if you point at the line that contains the list, it should display flex, and the flex direction is column, and it does. Okay. But we haven't set any kind of initial state to hide the list, and that's what we need to do next. So what we want hidden is nav UL, right? Because that's our submenu. So display for the submenu, by default, when the page loads, is going to be none. And then we've got a background gradient that we want displayed and some other settings. I'm going to pause a minute. And I've added the text. You can see we've got display set to none. We have a radial gradient that's going to display. The border radius is set to 0, which means we're going to have kind of squared off corners. No padding. The position of the submenu is absolute. So that means that once we point to that line item and the submenu displays, it's going to display in place. And the Z index we set to 10. And this is mainly because if you have people that have different screen sizes, there could be some wrapping of the menu commands. And you always want the submenu to display on top of the other commands instead of below the commands. And that Z index ensures that. And we're going to be adding some code to style the lines in our submenu. And we're going to set display to block. So what this does is it makes the entire area clickable. Without doing this, you'd have to actually point to the link text itself, not anywhere in the button, just at the link text to actually click. And this lets you point to the whole entire block. We're also going to add a top and bottom border to kind of define the area that we're clicking in. Oops. Bottom border is the same color. So saving myself some typing torture here. And the position of the lines within the submenu is going to be relative. And the alignment of the text is going to be left. And let's save. And we will take a look. Okay, so you can see if I point how I get the submenu. And there's just a couple additional things we're going to do for the actual links that are in the submenu. So these little commands here. So we're going to add some CSS for those links. So they are under nav. They are in the submenu. So we've got the menu, the submenu, and they are within a line, and they are the links. I'm going to put a little padding on them. And we're going to add a little color. We're also going to add a hover state. So we're setting the background to black and the color to light green. And let's save. And we will go out and reload our page. So it did not take the color. So there must be a little, I hate it when it changes my code. This should be background. There we go. Let's save it. And we'll try that again. Yep, that's how it should look. So at this point, this is done. Make sure you've saved all your changes and you can close the file.